By the way, I watched your Cosmo, Is It Expensive or Not Expensive from a few years ago. You were amazing.
I did pretty well.
My question to you is, am I inexpensive or am I expensive?
You're expensive.
Yes! Yes! Nina Nesbitt, welcome to America's Dance 30. It is so awesome meeting you.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Congratulations on Love Me A Little, going #1 with ILLENIUM. That is so amazing.
Thank you very much.
You're acting surprised. Did you not know?
No, I found out yesterday. I'm just in my little, I live like in a field basically, and I don't hear this news unless someone tells me. So it's a very pleasant surprise.
Next time I'll send a carrier pigeon to you so you can find out. Now, I saw your post on Instagram when the song was released that the song had been living on your hard drive for a long time. So I'm very interested to find out how the song was born with ILLENIUM. But before we talk all things Love Me A Little, let's get to know Nina Nesbitt a little better with Finky's Firsts.
Okay.
So I love finding out the origin story of artists. I know when you were young that you were actually competing in gymnastics. But when you were growing up, was gymnastics the first thing you wanted to be, or was singer-songwriter the first thing you wanted to be?
It was always a songwriter, and the singing kind of just went with that. But yeah, I always wanted to be like a pop star, I guess. And the gymnastics was just a fun few years.
Well, congratulations on your dream coming true. That's incredible.
Thank you.
Now, obviously, a lot has changed since over 10 years ago you got advice from Ed Sheeran on being a singer-songwriter. Do you remember the first song you wrote?
First song I wrote? Oh, well, I wrote one when I was 10. I remember that, and it was called Dreams Become Reality, and it was really, really bad. But we've all got to start somewhere, right?
Now, do you ever look back at older songs like that and maybe try to rework them into current stuff?
Definitely not that one, but others maybe in the past 1 to 5 years, definitely.
But not when you were 10 years old.
No, definitely not.
Now, you've, of course, performed all over the world. Do you remember your first performance?
I used to play in this little bar in Edinburgh when I was like 14, 15, and I definitely wasn't supposed to be in there. I used to just sneak in there. My friend worked there. So that was probably it. And the audience consisted of like 3 people, were my parents and one of my friends. So, again, we've all got to start somewhere.
Absolutely. I completely get that. Now, of course, you were born in Scotland, correct?
Yes.
Do you remember the first time you visited the States?
First time was actually with music. I'd never been to America before that. And I went to LA when I was 18. And I just thought it was I cried when I seen a yellow school bus for the first time. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, I'm in a movie. I felt like I was in Mean Girls. And it was just absolutely magical. And it still hasn't worn off. I still love going.
So what color are school buses in Scotland?
They're just like really unattractive, like big buses. But a lot of people just walk because it's so small. Like we're in like little villages. So I walk to school. But obviously in America, you have the movie set. I love it.
That's so incredible. Now, was it last year you released your 3rd studio album? Congratulations on that. And when you did, your manager actually tattooed the title of it on their arm. Is that right?
Yeah. We went to Toronto on tour. And she's like, I'm going to get a tattoo today. And I was like, okay. We got there and she's like, I'm getting the album name. And I was like, are you sure? Like, are you sure about that? But she just loved the word. It's a Swedish word called älskar, and it means to love, basically. And she was like, I just like it. So, yeah, that was a big commitment.
Do you have any tattoos?
No. I'm actually just not, I just don't see myself as a tattoo person. But my boyfriend is covered head to toe. So he's got them all for us.
It's still so weird to me seeing somebody without tattoos. Well, I was going to ask if you've thought about what your first tattoo might be, but if you don't see yourself as a tattoo person.
Do you know what? I've had ideas and I've had things I want to get done, and then I'm like, right, I'll sit on it for a year. I'm someone who just overthinks everything. And then every single time I've changed my mind. So I'm like, I just shouldn't get one.
I got to tell you, as somebody who's got a lot of tattoos, it definitely goes through my mind every time where I try switching it up. I'm like, forget it. Just go with it. You just got to pull the trigger and go with it.
Yeah. Well, you've done the right thing. You've got lots. I think you've either just got to go full on, just get it all done, or not, I guess.
Or not. Now, I know you've got an adorable Pom, Timmy. I'm not going to hold that against you because I'm a cat dad, so...
Well, do you know, I'm actually a cat person. I grew up with cats, so I relate to you there. But he's like a cat that loves you, basically, so it's quite nice.
Wait a second. My two sons love me. Shout out Aiden and Tucker, who watch all my videos.
You're lucky, because a lot of cats don't.
Yeah, that comes with being a cat dad. Now, do you remember your first pet?
My first pet was a cat, actually. I had a cat called Safi, after Sapphire, and she was a white cat with blue eyes, very rare. I think she was like deaf or something. I remember I couldn't really talk to her, but she was really sweet. She was a sweet.
Now, where does Timmy come from? Where does the name Timmy come from?
We just thought it's Timothy. We thought Prince Timothy just sounded quite regal, so yeah, we just he's definitely a prince for sure.
That's so awesome. Well, finally, in Finky's first, in honor of Love Me A Little with ILLENIUM going #1, it is a very emotional song. What is your first go-to for emotions? Like when you're sad, what is the first thing you want to listen to?
I'm someone that doesn't really like sit with sadness. So like I'm naturally like someone who feels a lot. But sadness is something I don't want to feel. So I just put on like Destiny's Child or, yeah, anything upbeat like that. I'm going to say Destiny's Child because that can get me out of anything.
It's so funny how we are complete opposites because when I'm sad, I want to just dive deeper into it and I put on all these depressing songs.
I was like that when I was younger, but now I'm like, no, there's been enough for the past few years for everyone. Like,
amen. Amen, sister. Now, complete side note, but when you listen back to emotional songs that you've written, does it choke you up at all? Because, like, when I listen to emotional songs, even if it's somebody else's, I get choked up by it.
No, actually. I think I can get choked up writing it. Sometimes, like, I'll be like, oh, I'm crying. That needed to come out. But I think as soon as it's out, it's kind of like someone else's song, and people will message saying, "Oh, this means this to me," or "This got me through this," and I'm like, "Oh, that's not what it was about." But I love that, and yeah, I think once it's out, that's it released. So yeah, I don't find it hard to sing songs or anything. I think yeah, it takes a different form when it's out.
I find that amazing because, like I said, I mean, I hear songs and I get choked up by it. Let's talk about this amazing song. How was Love Me A Little born with ILLENIUM?
Oh, God, it was written about 5-6 years ago in London. It was actually, I was just songwriting at the time for other people, and it was me and an artist and a producer, and we were writing it for them, and I loved the song. And then it just never really came out. And then eventually I got told ILLENIUM was working on it, and then I heard what he'd done, and I was like, oh my God, it was a piano ballad, so he's completely transformed it, and when it drops at the end, I'm just like, oh, so good. So yeah, sometimes songs just take a minute to kind of find their home, but I'm glad it did.
Is that weird as a songwriter, waiting 5 years for a song to come out?
No, that's so standard. That's so normal. I think, like, I always believed in the song and thought it was great, and it's been through a lot of hands, and it's just not quite clicked. And then I think it just obviously needed to, like, I don't know, like a fresh ear, and like what he's done with it is almost unrecognizable. But I love that. I think he's just kind of pulled it into the right place. So yeah, I think you just got to, like, when you know you've got a good song, you just got to believe it'll find its way.
Now, something that I love to find out about songs is how many different versions there are from when it starts being worked on and then tweaked all the way through the process to when it's finally put out. From the songwriter and singer perspective of it, did a lot change from the original songwriting to when it was finally put out?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's been through so many different forms. It was a piano ballad, then it was going to be a duet, and then it's like, yeah, and then sent to ILLENIUM, and I think he sent it straight away, and I literally had no notes. So I was just like, I love this. I could put it out tomorrow. So yeah, like, it didn't take long once it reached his hands. But I think that's a good sign, though. I think it's good when a song can be done in lots of different ways.
It's such an amazing song. Congratulations on it going #1. What is next for Nina Nesbitt?
I am hibernating in the studio at the moment, and I'll be exiting the studio probably this summer. So look out.
Now, let's have a full circle moment really quick. You know, over 10 years ago, Ed Sheeran gave you some advice. What advice would you have for aspiring singer-songwriters?
It is such a different time in the music industry than when I started. And I think everyone's honestly just trying to figure it out right now, because it's changed a lot. But I think, like, there's a lot of pressure to be on social media and TikTok and all of that, and make videos and make content. But I think if you're a musician, like, the most important thing is the songs and your craft and your singing or your instruments or whatever. Like, don't lose sight of that, and don't feel pressure to, like, you know, not work as hard on that. I think, like, concentrate on the art and, like, what's most important first, and then the rest will follow, I would say. Something that I try and take on board myself, because I think there's lots of different things you have to cover now.
I love that advice. There are so many distractions now. It's got to be so tough to stick to the art.
Yeah, for sure.
Nina Nesbitt, it is so awesome meeting you. Thank you so much for your time on America's Dance 30.
Thank you so much.